Welcome to Eternity of Basketball. An Eternity of Basketball is part of the Globally Ballin network, where you can catch the Globally Ballin podcast, the latest episode, episode 57, featuring a former PBA import Mike Singletary. So catch that on globallyballin.com. The Globally Ballin network has several shows, including An Eternity of Basketball, together with Hang Time with Cassie G, Rhonda, and the Globally Ballin podcast. They're on YouTube as well. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out all their social media. And they have lots of articles on the site as well. Check out the website, globallyballin.com, for all original articles on a wide variety of topics in sports from leagues and countries all over the world. Ito namang ang Eternity of Basketball. We are now on YouTube. You can check out all our episodes, past episodes on YouTube. Listen to us on Spotify and Anchor as well. Lots of ways to view or listen to An Eternity of Basketball. So there's no reason to miss any of our episodes. And today is episode number 62, and we've had some NBA personalities come on the show in the past, but this one's a 17-year NBA veteran, and 5 months ago, before the NBA restarted in the bubble in Orlando, he was gracious enough to grant me an interview, so we got to talk about a few things about his career. And now that the NBA is about to restart again, with the preseason games beginning today, he's our guest on episode 62 of AOB. First of all, I'm Charlie Cuna, together with Sid Ventura and Noel Zarate as usual. And Noel Zarate is no longer in the PBA bubble. He has been liberated. He's now at home. So his internet should be better today. But our guest today, it's a pleasure for us, basketball fans who grew up particularly watching the NBA in the 1980s. So we're excited to talk to this fellow today. He's also been a coach in the Philippines for about a decade, more than a decade already, for teams like San Miguel, Meralco, and now TNT Tropangiga. Coach Alton Lister, Arizona State legend, of course, played for several teams in the NBA, including particularly the Milwaukee Bucks, Golden State Warriors, and Seattle Supersonics. Little time in Boston and Portland as well. Coach, welcome to our show. It's a privilege to have you with us today.
Well, hey, thank you for inviting me. I think this is great to be a part of this eternity of basketball, and I look forward to let's just have a good time with it, and I can give you guys some stories, some history, and and I don't know about the stories. We might have to censor some of them, but
it's all going to be fun, Coach.
We might have some kids watching, so I have to tamper it a little bit.
We're trying to bleep it out later, Coach. No,
okay.
Coach, let's start from the start, because it's a long journey. I mean, your NBA career alone, 17 years, and then you have your coaching stuff, and then you were in college as well. Great college career. You were born in Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right? So you grew up in Dallas. I suppose it was there in Dallas where you were first introduced to this game of basketball. How did it start? Who introduced it to you? Who were your inspirations, your influences that got you into this game that eventually turned into a 17-year NBA career?
Well, first of all, let me say it was pretty difficult because Texas is traditionally a football state. Mm-hmm. And, everything was about the NFL, the Dallas Cowboys. They had the glory years back then when I was growing up, and I was a big football fan. But I just so happened to have a brother that was my role model. And he attended Sam Houston State University. Mm-hmm. And I followed his career when I was young. And if you Google him, he has just about every record in the history books for Sam Houston State. The unfortunate thing, he's deceased now, but growing up, he was my role model. I was just a tall, lanky kid that really didn't like basketball because I was so shy, and my body was not ready for where I would say to go out and perform, and I was a late bloomer. Mm-hmm. And along the way, I played basketball early on. Then I I stopped playing. I got in the band. I was one of the tallest trombone players in high
Okay.
school. And and eventually I got back on track when I got in high school, and I started back playing, and things just kind of moved on from that point.
How tall were you already by then, Coach?
Well, I was always tall, and the thing with me, um, back then, I remember in high school, um, I was 6'5" as a sophomore, and every time we would have a holiday break and come back to school, they said, "Man, look like you ain't got tall." And that's when I really had my growth spurts in high school, and I grew from 6'5" to 6'10" by the time I was a senior.
Wow. Okay. So
And
you were
then,
obviously highly recruited because you were the tallest guy on campus.
yeah, and I actually took the junior college. I took the junior college
That's
route.
right.
Uh, my first year out of high school, didn't have the grades. I wasn't a qualifier, so I went to. Back then, you could go to junior college for 1 year and then transfer. Now the rule is you have to go and complete, get a degree, and then transfer. Yeah, so actually, I got recruited out of high school, so I went to all my visits out of high school. Then, after I had my 1 year and a lot of success in junior college, I was able to take 6 more visits. And we were fortunate enough to win the national championship in junior college. I went to San Jacinto Junior
That's
College
right.
in Texas, and they produced a lot of pros from
Right.
that program.
That's a factory. Sam Cassell, Stevie
Yeah.
Franchise, Walter
Yes.
Berry, all these guys, Liddell Eccles, they all came from
Yes.
San Jack, right?
Yes. And it's had a lot of success. Unfortunately, the program is no longer in existence. They It was one of the top programs. I think over the 30 years, we won about 7 championships. So it's a great, uh, beginning for me to get in the right situation, uh, going to junior college, having a lot of success. I led the nation in blocks and rebounding my freshman year, and then I moved on to a 4-year university.
Okay.
You did mention about your older brother. I believe his name is James Lister, who also actually played here in the Philippines as well. How did he convince you to move to basketball after being a big Tom Landry Dallas Cowboys fan?
Well, it just happened. I had a lot of people that were putting a lot of pressure on me and say, "You walking around here, extremely tall, and it just felt like I was a basketball player." And I started to believe the things that they would say. Say, "Man, you should give it a try. You should give it a try." And then I really started focusing on his game. He started working with me. I started playing against older players, and I started to feel like, hey, maybe I might have a chance. And so that's when I started to focus on basketball at that point. I put the trombone down. Myself, my
Yeah.
freshman year, I put it down, and then I started just focusing on basketball.
Yeah, I was thinking you'd probably go to Juilliard or something like that, become a trombone major or something. No, but if you weren't playing basketball, what were your goals? Did you plan to become a corporate guy? What were your other plans besides basketball if you had followed the basketball route?
Well, one of the coaches told me back in the day, we had limited choices. He said that maybe if I didn't play basketball, that I would probably go into the education field and be a teacher.
Okay.
And I wasn't really thinking that was something that I wanted to do, because I didn't never really like school until I had to do it in college, and I eventually got my degree and all that. But that was my problem in high school, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't qualify coming out of high school. I just did not like, school. And so he told me that, you're gonna be uh, extremely tall. Uh, you're gonna have your clothes are gonna be extremely expensive, in that you might as well focus on something that can afford you to pay for those things.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah. Well, coach, yeah. In a way, you did end up becoming a teacher since you're a coach right now, and coaching really is all about teaching, right? But what I wanted to ask you is, how did you end up at the Arizona State University after your junior college stint?
Well, there was a coach there by the name of Jim Newman, and
Okay.
he was a guy that when I first initially talked to him, he was at New Mexico State, and then he got the assistant coaching job at Arizona State, and he was just a great recruiter. I mean, unbelievable. He recruited myself, Byron Scott, Fat Lever, and Al King. I mean, Al King ended up going to Maryland. Kevin Willis from Michigan State. He was an incredible talker.
Yeah, yeah.
And I
Hey,
saw
when you say Al King, that's Albert King, the brother of Bernard, right?
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
And Benoit Benjamin, another former NBA player. I saw
Yeah.
all the guys that they were recruiting and guys that had committed to Arizona State. And at the time, Arizona State had a lot of great success, but not a powerhouse. And I've just felt like I wanted to be a part of a program where we could kind of, develop our own culture, get the right players in there, and make a name for ourselves. And also, we were moving into the Pac-12.
Okay.
Yeah, when I first initially was in junior college, they were in the Pac-10, and then I really liked the fact that they were moving to the Pac-12. They were in the WAC, and then I said, "Hey, you get a chance to play UCLA, which was a powerhouse, and all the top schools that were in the Pac-10 at the time." I said, "Hey, I want to be a part of that."
It's a high profile program. I mean, where you were at that time. Your coach was Coach Wolk, right?
Yeah, Coach Ned Wolf.
Yeah.
And great guy. When I took my visit there, I just felt at home. You kind of know, and I had visited so many schools, man, and so many schools were recruiting me. That particular program just really hit home with me. I like the players, I like the coaches. It had a great feel to it, and also, my sister was able to attend Arizona State with me at the time, so that was the deal that kind of helped that whole deal, and I'm glad that I went that route with Arizona State.
Was she an athlete as well, Coach? Your sister?
No, I just told them, look, only way y'all gonna get me, y'all gotta sign her too, get her education.
Package deal. It was a package deal.
That was a package deal, and they went along with it, and so I ended up. Going to school with her for 4 years, and she ended up getting her degree. So it worked out for everybody. It's a win-win.
It wasn't too much of an adjustment, like weather-wise, environment-wise, because Texas and Arizona are pretty similar as far as climate and everything, right?
Yeah, it's similar. It wasn't too far away. My mom could still come visit and watch me play, and Arizona it's just unique. It was the desert. I love the weather. It was just a great program. And one of the things that they said to me, you really have to understand, not only I feel like you have an opportunity basketball-wise, but we're really going to help you get your degree. And, every mother wants to hear that. And that was the selling point. They start recruiting her. They stopped recruiting me. and that was something that they promised her, and it eventually happened, and so that was one of the big reasons why I attended Arizona State.
Yeah, also one of the frustrations probably in your career is that you're supposed to be an Olympian. You were actually selected to the United States basketball team for the 1980 Olympics. Unfortunately, the boycott happened. So what was that like, knowing that you're going to be an Olympian and then all of a sudden you're not going to Moscow?
Yeah, man. Politics and basketball don't mix.
Yeah.
And they boycotted Afghanistan that year. But the games were in Russia, and we had prepared. We went to Kentucky for the Olympic trials. They put us through all that work. It was a great experience for me. I loved it. But then at the last minute, when we were getting ready to go, they shut it down. They shut everything. None of the sports were able to participate. So that's one of my biggest disappointments, because I really want to represent, the United States in the Olympics. That's everybody's dream, to represent their country.
Can you
who was
take
on
us
that
coach
team?
through that
Yeah.
process? The process
Yeah.
of how you
That's
were
about that.
invited to the camp and all of that, and how many you were at the start, and how the practices went as they cut and cut until the final 12. How did that go?
It was just, every day, typical, uh, just, typical like a tryout. We worked out twice a day, and they were evaluating every aspect of the game, because they had to make the right selections, and it was hard. It was intense, but at the end of the day, I survived it. There was a lot of it's probably 50 players there, and a lot of great players. And I was, fortunate enough that I stuck out in the minds of the guys that were making the selections. And I had a good week, I guess. And
Yeah.
I had no idea that I made the team, because they said after everything was done, we're going to post it uh, on the schedule for that day. After we finish, we're going to post it on the wall going into the gym. So everybody was all gathered around, looking to see if their name was up there. I was in the back. I said, man, I don't think I have opportunity, even though I played well. And when I went up there and I saw my name, man, I was like, it was one of the best feelings that I have experienced in basketball. And
Who else was on that team besides yourself? And who was the coach? Supposed to be the coach?
Larry Brown, Dave Gavitt was the coach.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you guys remember him, but Larry Brown was assistant coach. We had Mark
Rolando
Aguirre.
Blackman.
Yeah, we had Mark Aguirre, Isaiah Thomas, Rolando Blackman. Who else? Sam Bowie, Al Woods, Michael Brooks,
Right.
Buck Williams,
Wow.
Danny Grange. So we had most of the guys that were on that team were first rounders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they all made it to the NBA. All those names that you just said, all made it to
Yeah.
the NBA.
And they had long careers. Bill Hanslick,
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a great group of guys. Donnell Valentine.
Yeah, Kansas.
Yeah. So we had a good chemistry. I think we were picked to win it. And that was the time back then where they only used collegiate players. The pros were not able to play back then. But then they came to a point where we were playing against pros from other countries, and we just couldn't compete, because, they were teams that had played, and they played together, year round. And so they just decided that they want to go the pro route. But I don't think they did that to win 90, I forget what year when they started adding pros.
It was the first dream
It started
team.
in 90, but 92 was the first dream team. Yeah, the US dream team.
because I think the last team that used collegiate players didn't do very well.
Yeah, they got the
they
Browns.
lost.
Yeah, and everybody was saying, "Hey, we got to do something different," and that's what they did. They implemented pros, and they only started using one collegiate player was part of that group.
The Christian
right.
Laettner. Yeah. Yeah, coach. Who were some of the guys who beat out for your spot? You said you didn't expect to make it. You were surprised that you made the final 12. But yeah, how was the competition like for a center spot?
Well, it was the best in the country. It was all I know. It was a young Patrick Ewing there, just coming out of high school. He was there. Another guy who went high in the draft, Steve Johnson. I don't know if y'all remember him. Played
from Portland.
Played him. Yeah. I don't recall all the names that were there, but
was Ralph Thompson there? No.
Ralph
Thompson,
Ralph wasn't there. But it was the best of the best, and it was very intense, and we were very scrutinized, and they watched every aspect of what we brought to the table in terms of our game, and you just went out and played and did your best. And I was just one of the fortunate ones to be a part of that.
But and you got to keep all your practice gear, right? You got to keep all the USA uniforms and everything.
Yeah, we kept all that. Actually, they had this thing called a gold medal series once. And what happened was we played against NBA players in 6 NBA cities, and we traveled around, played against them in a gold medal series, and we eventually had. I think we played against the 76 team to cap it off, and we ended up winning by 1 point. Okay. And then they had us all go to the White House, and we had a big celebration there. All the athletes from every sport went to the White House, and they wanted to reward us for all our hard work. And it wasn't the Olympics, but it was something that close. And like I said, I have a gold medal. I have a gold medal and all that. So I'm really proud to be a part of that whole experience.
Just to let you know, the president of the United States at the time was actually still Jimmy Carter when you guys went to the White House.
Yeah,
how long ago that was.
Yeah, actually, exactly. And actually, when we went to the White House, we all met him. And that was part of the celebration for us to go to the White House, and they had just a big event for us. It was incredible, and I got to choose to bring 2 people with me, and I brought my sister, and I brought my mother, so they got a chance to experience that as well.
That's great.
Think about it, Coach. That was 40 years ago.
How many?
Around this time, 40 years ago.
40.
Wait a minute. You said 40 years ago? Oh my God.
Yeah.
But what a journey, man.
Feels like it was just yesterday, Coach. It's fresh in your memory, though.
Well, hey, I can't even imagine. And I'm thinking about when I retired, how long it's been. I mean, time flies fast, man. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible.
Yeah. Oh, that's
right.
You
retired 22 years ago, actually.
Man, are you a stat guy, analytical guy, or what?
No. I just
throw out all the numbers, Coach.
Sometimes.
I'm trying to forget. I'm trying to forget the numbers from the past.
But it was 22 years ago when you called it a career in the NBA. But it did start for you in 1981, one of the more loaded drafts in the NBA at the time. So what was it like being there and then having your name called as the 21st overall pick?
Well, you know what? Back then, and it still happens now, they have us go and try out for teams. They bring you in. We didn't have the combine back then. Mm-hmm. So what teams would fly you in, work you out, and interview you and do it all there. So Milwaukee never was on my radar. They never invited me to come and work out and interview. So I had no idea. I actually thought that I was going to be drafted by the Lakers. and ended up drafting by Milwaukee. It worked out because they had a Hall of Famer there, Bob Lanier. And he was kind of getting to the point where he was kind of at the end of his career, and they wanted to bring in a young, young big guy so that he could mentor and develop. And it worked out really well for me with Bob and Don Nelson. I'm trying to think of the Wayne Emery. I kept seeing Wayne. Yeah, he's the general manager at the team for the team, and I kept seeing it at all our games, right? But I never put one and one together that he was there to really evaluate me. But we never had a conversation, anything like that, and he was really instrumental in drafting me along with Don Nelson. So. When I got my name called, I mean, it was phenomenal. That was just another highlight of my career.
Yeah, so you were drafted 21st overall, right? 1981.
Yeah.
Was this what you expected, or heading into the draft? What intelligence were you receiving on how high you were going to go?
I thought I was going to go higher, but I didn't play as well in the NCAAs because, we were ranked third in the nation, and we had all that talent. Like I said, we had Fat Lever, Byron Scott. We had actually 5 NBA players that got drafted off of that team. And we lost early. We lost to Kansas in the first round. So we were number 1 seed. But what I didn't understand is that we're the number 1 seed, but we're playing in Wichita against Kansas. So all their fan base was there.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
And so they came in and they upset us. But I mean, we had the talent. I mean, we had pros on the floor. And we just, in the NCAA, you have one bad game, or if you don't play up to your capabilities, it's one and done. It's over. You don't have no do-overs.
Right.
And so it was a major shock for us. And I just played okay. And then I played in a lot of they had a lot of different tournaments that for guys that were seniors to go. They had the Rainbow Classic. I played in another tournament in Vegas. And these were all events to evaluate all the top draftees that were coming out that year. And I just played okay. Okay. But I was thinking I was going to go higher, but I didn't. But it worked out really good for me because by being drafted by Milwaukee, the year before, they lost by 1 point in the Eastern Conference Finals to the Sixers.
Yeah.
And so when I got drafted, I was the only rookie on that team, on a veteran team. And so I came in and really had to pay my dues and learn. And they really wanted to invest, developing me to be the heir apparent to Bob Lanier. And he worked with me for a lot of years. And probably around my 4th year when he got ready to retire, he said, "I think, big fella, it's time for you to take over. I think you're ready." And then after that, I started to really, have some success in Milwaukee. But up until that point, man, we were always we won the Central Division every year I was there.
Every year.
My 5 years, my first 5 years, we won it 5 years in a row. We went to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 out of my 5 years. But the problem was there was a team called the 76ers and the Celtics that we could
one
not,
or the other.
Yeah, one year we swept the Celtics. And I think this was 83. And then, so we're thinking, hey, now it's finally, we swept the Celtics. We had always had a problem with them or the Sixers. Now, the next round, we played the Sixers, and they won the championship. That's when they just had acquired Moses Malone.
Moses
Yeah.
Malone.
Yeah. They
So-
swept the Lakers in the finals.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was just one of those things where we had a lot of success, man, a lot of success in Milwaukee, but we just could not get over the hump.
Coach,
You know,
timing is everything.
Yeah,
Timing
I'm
Time
is
just
everything.
is everything.
Yeah, I'm looking at your rookie year here, Coach Alton. You actually did not too shabby, 8.4 points and 7.1 rebounds. But probably the big surprise is you got 5 MVP votes on your
Right.
rookie year.
How did that happen, Coach?
Hey, you tell me.
The 21st pick getting 5 MVP votes for that year. I mean, that was a year.
I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Did you ever find out which of these voters these guys were? These 5 guys.
Probably one of them's volunteer, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know how they tabulated those votes back then, but what year was that again?
81.
81, 82.
81,
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, I thought they felt like I was an impact player, and at that time I was coming off the bench. I was starting. Actually, that's when Bob and I played together. So they just kind of let me roam around, and I was weak side blocking shots, and didn't have a whole lot of pressure on me to be the guy, but I was a starter, and I played really well in the playoffs, and I felt like maybe they thought that was enough for me to garnish those votes. But I'll take them.
Coach,
That was a pretty loaded team. I just want to add that some of your teammates on that team, Terry Cummings, Ricky Pierce, who's this? Paul Pressey. I think you still had Marcus Johnson on that team.
Man.
Yeah, and for me, one of the greatest defenders of all time, Sidney Moncrief.
Sidney
also
Moncrief,
on that
yeah.
team.
Hey
Yeah.
man, let me tell
My
you what they
namesake.
let me tell you what they I always say about Milwaukee. We were the most underrated team that did not win a championship.
Yeah.
And that's what we're known for. Because again, we won the Central Division 5 straight years.
I agree.
Okay. And that was against a young Michael Jordan when he was in Chicago and all that. But again, the 2 teams that we had problems with was Philly and Boston, because either one of those teams were winning it. And it was always the Celtics and the Lakers in the finals. The East was the powerhouse back then. Now the power has shifted to the West.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Coach, I wanted to backtrack a little bit. What do you remember about draft day? I mean, were you actually there when they called your name? Did you have to go up on stage, put on a jacket and a cap, and shake Larry O'Brien's hand?
They wasn't doing that back then.
Yeah, I think it was different. Yeah.
Yeah. We were at home watching it on television, and just waiting to see, what exactly was going to happen. People say, hey, you're going to go first round. I knew I was going to go first round, but I didn't know exactly what pick. I had some great workouts, and when I visit the teams and try it out and everything, but I just didn't know. And then once Milwaukee, called my name, and then I got a call right away from Don Nelson. Biggest culture shock for me was I went to school in Arizona, right? So when I go to Milwaukee, I didn't own a coat, and nobody told me how cold it was there. Man, you talking about man, I could not believe it when I first got there. I did not. I think I had just a sweater, right? Because I went to school in Arizona State, where it's 110 in the shade. So I go to Milwaukee.
It's minus 10. You go to Milwaukee, it's minus 10.
-10, and you got the wind that's coming off of Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
And it's man, I couldn't believe it. My first year, So, I had to get acclimated to that. I had to get acclimated to the Midwest. It was a different city, an older city, not a big market. So, but I loved it. I really loved it, and
Yeah.
I loved playing for Don Nelson. Don Nelson coached me for 10 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think
No,
I think
want to backtrack
Giannis.
also. Yeah, go ahead, Sid.
Yeah, no, I think Giannis Antetokounmpo also had the same reaction when he first moved to Milwaukee from Greece. The
Yeah.
same thing about the weather. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to, for the benefit of everyone, go through the list of players drafted in the '81 draft before you, Coach.
Okay.
Some famous. Many of them went on to become champions and all stars. First pick was Mark Aguirre.
Yes.
Second was Isaiah Thomas, and then the third was Buck Williams. Those three.
He was rookie of the year.
Yeah.
And
Williams.
let me stop right there. Buck was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Buck
Yeah.
was a problem on the court, man. I mean, he was, and I had to, I was playing the 4 back then, and I always used to match up with him. I mean, he was a no nonsense. And now, in terms of that position, it's really not a power position. Guys are more stretch and more versatile, can do more things. But he was 6'8", but you talking about tough as nails. Buck was he was a tough guy to play against.
Yeah. And he also had a long career. I think he retired in 1998 or 99.
Yeah, with
99.
Portland, right?
Yeah.
With Portland.
Yeah. And he was another guy, unfortunately, that wasn't able to get that ring. But he had a long career.
Yeah, but everybody respected him.
Yeah.
Everybody was intimidated by him. I remember Terry Catledge getting decked.
Oh man,
Yeah.
this dude. You talk. I mean, we talk about strong, but he was country strong. Guys that from the South seem like they just a little strong. We call it country strong, and
I've heard of that term. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, oh my God, man.
No, you mentioned you had a workout with a few teams. You thought you're going to be drafted with the Lakers. So you did have a workout with the Lakers, I guess, before you got drafted. Am I right?
Yes. I worked out with about 5 teams.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when you were working out with the Lakers, I mean, Byron Scott eventually wound up with the Lakers, but what was it like going up against a young Kareem Abdul-Jabbar? I mean, he had just moved a few years before from Milwaukee to Los Angeles, but now you had to work out. Did you work out against guys like Kareem at the time when you were there?
Yeah, he was there, and they brought him in, and we talked, and we got on the court, and he was there, just trying to get a feel for my game and what I presented to the game, and how could I fit into their system, what they were looking for.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I was kind of in awe at first, because he was my idol. He was my idol growing up. That's who I really admired. That sky hook, I mean, unbelievable. And then when I first met him, I mean, a great guy. And, so that's why I thought I was going to get drafted. But it was just a good experience meeting him, working out with him teaching me some things, talking about the game of basketball. We even went out to dinner, and so it was a good experience.
Coach, when you were a rookie in 1981, you were a rookie. Noel usually asks this question to our guests: who was the first NBA veteran that actually hit you hard and said, "Welcome to the NBA, young guy"?
Yeah.
Well, a couple of guys.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the strongest guys that. Well, first of all, let me and then I answer a question. I'm this rookie, and I'm blocking shots, and I'm saying, man, ain't nobody gonna dunk on me. I'm not gonna get dunked on. Next game, I got dunked on by Kareem, and that's when I learned you just humble yourself and you just go out and play. But we're playing against like Artis Gilmore, Daryl Dawkins.
Oh my.
Oh my. man, Daryl Dawkins go for a dunk. You just turn your head and go the other way because I mean, ain't not any blocking that.
Yeah.
And guys were big, and every team had legitimate big guys. The ball started in, then it went out. So I mean, and it was just impactful players that played the center position. I can go down a longer list of guys that but one that really probably shook some sense into me, hitting me really hard, probably was Bob in practice. He probably was getting mad at me because I was all arms and elbows, and I would, I would, elbow him or something, and he would retaliate, and so I got to playing against him in practice made me much tougher against anybody, and so I mean, it's just a long list of guys that I could, that I could name you.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe Bill Lambier. Bill Lambier got you when you were playing. You were competing for the Central Division anyway, right?
Bill Lambier, I couldn't stand, man.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go at him, but he was very smart. He could shoot 15-footer,
right?
Pass the ball, tough as nails, rebound. I'm telling you, that's every night. Every night you're playing against guys that added different elements to their game or different problems that, you had to deal with. Because every team had multiple 7-footers.
Right.
And, they all, like Moses Malone, Elijah One. I mean, I can just go down the list. He hit me one time, too, and James Donaldson, Duckworth.
Dallas,
So much quality big guys back then, Coach. Right? Not like now. The center position was really an important position back then. They'd really need those big guys inside before.
Yeah, and that was the main focal. And they actually said if you didn't have that, you couldn't win a championship, and that was true for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Going all the way back.
I want to go back. Yeah, just want to go back to the draft, Coach. You said you were expecting to be picked by the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
They had the 19th pick, and they picked Mike McGee, who actually briefly played in the PBA in the 1990s.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Mike McGee played here.
Yeah,
okay.
And then after that came Larry.
Scorer.
So they went for a guard forward instead of a center. And then after that was Larry Nance, who also went.
One of the things, Larry and I went on the visit together when we both visited the Lakers together. So we were there together. Okay. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Then after Larry Nance, you were picked by the Bucks. So that was a very loaded draft. Before you also came Rolando Blackman, Tom Chambers, Albert King, Danny Shays, Herb Williams, Darnell Valentine. So
that's high quality.
All of these,
high quality draft.
very, very high quality. And then the 31st pick was Danny Ainge, actually. I just had to put that out because I'm a Celtics fan.
He was a baseball player. He was
a baseball player. And the Celtics, worked their magic and was able to draft him low. And he ended up being an extremely good player. He's another guy that I didn't like. They
called him the Mean Mormon.
Hey, I mean, just one of those guys that initiate the first hit and then you retaliate and then they call a foul on you.
Yeah. No,
and then he's always got this smirk on his face and whining and
like Bill Lambier. So they're kind of the same, right? In that.
He's a big, smaller version of Bill Lambier.
But I think he was a little more fiery than Bill Lambier. I mean, he was always
he did True Rollins in the finger, right?
I mean, no, Lambier was like cool. He'd play rugged and dirty, but he had a blank expression on his face.
Exactly.
Was always all fired up.
Crazy, feisty. He took on Tree Rollins, remember?
Yeah, he took on Tree Rollins, bit him in the hand too.
Where did Tree bite him at?
In the hand.
Tree butt in the hand.
Hit him on the finger. On the finger.
The finger.
Wow.
That's what they say. Of course, Tree's got a different version.
But just the fact that Danny Ainge would go after somebody who's 7'1", You know that either he's crazy or just don't know any
that's it.
better.
I think he's crazy.
Yeah, I just want to go back to that Milwaukee team. You know, the first 5 years of your career, that was like almost the perfect starting five right there. And then you have Paul Pressey becoming the first point forward. So many innovations that Don Nelson introduced to the game. What was it like playing with that special group of guys? Cummings, Pierce, Moncrief.
Well, let me tell you, this is what happened. They made a trade because when I first got there, they wanted to get younger. And so they traded Marcus Johnson, Harvey Catchings, and Junior Bridgman.
Right.
And then to the Clippers. And then we ended up getting Terry Cummings, Craig Hodges, and Ricky Pierce.
Yeah.
So that was the beginning of, a really special team, young. And Terry came in, man. Terry was an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
Sidney, unfortunately, Sidney, they told him when he got drafted that he would probably only play about 8 to 9 years. I'm glad he made the Hall of Fame, but he was very underrated. One of your first two-way players, tough. I remember the first year I got there, he's 6'4". He led us in scoring, rebound, assists, and the way he played, and he used to take a punishment, for his size. And I talked to him, and I said, man, I don't know if your career is going to last, too long when you playing the way you play. And but he was tough as nails. Great defender. He was really, really good. Terry was extremely talented, and he was the second pick. He was the rookie of the year. And then Craig Hodges was a specialist. He's a three-point shooter. So with what we had, along with Pressey, myself, and then we had the three-headed center with Brewer, Mulcahy, and myself. Nelly was very innovative in how he played. He initiated the position, a point forward position. He started with Marcus Johnson playing that position, and then Pressey took over it. So he was very innovative as a coach, a winner. I love playing for Don Nelson, and I played most of my career for him.
Are you still in touch with Don Nelson up to this day? I mean, have you seen him? You see how he looks now with that gangster look, with the hair and the chains and all of that?
No, I don't know what Nelly's doing these days or what he's going through. He's over there selling some cannabis. He's come a long way from those fish ties, huh? Exactly. And he's got his hair like Pat Riley used to have.
Right. Exactly. He's got some scruff. He got some scruff around the like a goatee.
Yeah. Coach Alton, I'm pretty sure Don Nelson shared about his Celtic stories. I mean, what made him a winner? What made the Celtics a winner? I mean, what were the stories he shared with you about being a winner as part of that great organization, the Boston Celtics?
Well, first of all, it's a mystique that they had. When you played against the Celtics, you are already basically knowing that, it was going to be a tough game. And they just knew how to play the right way. They had really good, smart basketball players with high IQs. Everybody understand their roles. They were very unselfish. They were just tough at every position. And especially, when you look at the Celtics, and when I played in my era, and then when Nelly was part of that when they won the 11 championships with Bill Russell and all that, they just had a mystique about them. They had a great coach, and they just played together and they defended. They pushed the ball, very unselfish. And then they kind of carried over to when they got Larry Bird and McHale and Parrish, which was the greatest front line in the history of the game, one of the greatest front lines in the history of the game. But mainly just how they approached the game, man. They just went out and they played every night. and they played together. They played smart, and they had some exceptional players. When you got Bill Russell, I mean that's going to take care of a lot of ills right there,
Yeah.
And he was nothing but a winner. He
Yeah.
has 11 championships.
Yep.
And then they just fit pieces around them, and Kuzi and all those guys. I mean, they just know how to play, and they just had a good thing going for a long time.
Well, speaking about the Celtics,
I'm so
I mean,
happy.
you had the
I'm
guys
so
like
happy to hear
Robert
that.
Parrish and Kevin McHale. Sid and I are Celtics fans, actually, so it's great to hear
I'm
that
so
stuff
happy.
coming from you.
Yeah, I'm so happy to hear all of that.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys. Which one? Now let's figure this out. Which one of you guys are Laker fans, and which one of you Celtics?
I'm a
fans?
Laker fan, Coach.
Charlie's the Laker fan.
Okay, all right.
Well, like
Okay.
The other two are
Sid and I are
Celtics fans.
Celtic fans. Yeah.
Well, I
We have
tell
some
you,
sort of respect for each other, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
okay, it's always debatable, right?
Yeah. But you know what? I agree with Charlie when he says that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the greatest player of all time. I actually agree with that. That's big coming from a Celtics fan, right?
No question. Again, that's debatable. But he wasn't as flashy as Michael, and how Michael changed the game and everything about him, how he looked, how he carried himself, his charisma. Kareem was kind of stoic, when he played. He didn't really show a lot of emotion. He wasn't really popular with the media. But I mean, he was a winner, unstoppable shot. I mean, you think about all the games, all the guys in the games that has, you remember them by their signature moves, and he has one. It's the sky hook.
That's right.
But it was so amazing when I first played against him. Even though I met him, but I was in awe my rookie year, and the same when we played against the Sixers when they had all the talent. But you get over that really quick once you start playing. But it was just fun and very competitive. Being in the Eastern Conference, playing in Milwaukee, playing against those teams with great players. Then you go to the West, and the Lakers was totally dominating everything with Showtime.
Right.
I mean,
Did you ever get to block the sky hook, Coach, even once?
I probably did. I think I got it maybe once, but it probably was goaltending. They didn't call it.
I remember a story. Daryl Dawkins said he blocked it once, and then Kareem made 10 straight. He just adjusted the angle, made it higher.
Yeah, I mean, he was so good at. I mean, because he was a finesse player, but his setup for that hook, and he was going to go over his left shoulder, and he set you up one way, and he always got his position first. So he's working his way down, He knew exactly on the spot on the floor, the spot on the floor where he wanted to shoot it. Either it was on the right side or the left side. He knew how to get that position first. And you try to stay on that, on his right shoulder, right? Because he's going to go over it, right? But some way he set you up. And then once he got you in that position, it was extended, going across the middle or either going baseline. Right. And he really didn't have a whole lot of counters to that. It was just an unstoppable move, and I don't understand why more players don't shoot that shot today.
Exactly. That's right.
No, he did have a counter, Coach Alton. He used his left hand sometimes.
Yeah, but that wasn't his money. That wasn't his bread and butter.
It was sky hook all the time, all day, every day. That's right.
Sky hook all day long, man. And that is the most beautiful shot that I've ever seen. And I shot it, I shot it. Yeah.
Coach, as a big man coach today, do you still push your players to try that? Sky hook?
I try to get them to anything where they can be successful and they can score, that. And I tell them all the time, man, Kareem was the leading scorer in the NBA history with that
Yeah.
one shot. Why
Yeah.
wouldn't you guys try to implement that? And maybe because it's not sexy,
Mhm.
and it's hard to really develop, and you got to really work on that shot. But I work on it with my guys all the time, and it's some of them will shoot it, but it's not something that's natural for
Mhm.
Right.
But
I
coach,
wanted to ask
after
you, since you were going against the Celtics a lot, I'm sure you got some Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish stories. How many
Yeah.
elbows you got to the ribs and stuff like that? How many times Kevin McHale got in your face trying to stop you
Man,
from and not even Larry Bird yet.
Oh man, let me tell you something. We used to have so many competitive battles. McHale and I used to have we used to get locked up, and he's the only guy. Every time we played, we always get locked up and always went to blows. He was very tough to guard on that box, man. He was tough. And Parrish, could run the floor. All of them brought different things. I never really guarded Larry because he was a more perimeter guy.
Mhm.
But Parrish and McHale brought different elements to the game, how they scored. McHale was just really, really tough on the box. Parrish, he could run. He shoots that turnaround jumper, which you
Yeah.
could not get to.
Right.
I mean, how do you scout those guys?
Good question.
That's how good they were.
Yeah, that's how good they were. And Larry, who was so unselfish, and that's the thing I liked about the players from my era. They still scored their points, but they were really unselfish. You know, and it's amazing to be able to do that. And I mean, he was a great passer, high basketball IQ, and couldn't jump over a dollar.
Yeah. Right.
You
Right.
put a dollar, on the floor, say jump, and couldn't jump over a dollar, but knew how to get position, knew how to
Right.
rebound, was smart, knew how to draw, was really good at drawing fouls, had all the
Mhm.
pump fakes, had all the moves, could shoot with either hand, tough. I mean, just guys just knew how to play back then.
Yeah, he just
Great.
celebrated his 64th birthday just the other
Yeah.
day or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah. December 7th, Larry Bird.
Yes.
That's his
Yes.
birthday. That's
Yeah.
crazy. I mean, I love these stories about the Central Division, the East, and all of that with all these great players. Kareem, of course, was my guy, is my guy until now. It's great talking to Coach Alton up to this point. We'll take a short break here on AOB. We'll continue because we're still in Milwaukee. We haven't even gone to Seattle yet. Okay, so we
That's right.
remind you that AOB is part of the Globally Ballin Network. So catch the Globally Ballin podcast, the latest episode with Mike Singletary, former PBA import as well. Go to globallyballin.com for different shows, including AOB, Hang Time and Ronda. Read original articles with audio projects and video projects, all the social media of globallyballin.com. Check that all out. And don't forget, An Eternity of Basketball is on YouTube, is on Spotify and Anchor. So you have no excuse. You can listen to us anytime, anywhere, watch our shows, and keep following An Eternity of Basketball. This is episode 62. We are with Coach Alton Lister. It's been an amazing talk, and we're only in his first few years. We're not even in
First
Seattle
five.
yet. But how did it
Yeah.
feel, Coach? After a great run with Milwaukee, all of a sudden you get traded to Seattle for Jack Sikma, and you find yourself in Seattle with Coach Bernie. Pretty good bunch of players there as well. You had Tom, Dale Ellis, and all those guys. How did it feel?
No, it felt great. First of all, I was disappointed because we were really close in Milwaukee. Like I said, we had a lot of success. So they felt like they need to bring in a different type of center that they could use to get them over the hump. And so that's when they traded me to Seattle. Seattle was rebuilding. They wanted a player that could impact right away. So that's why Milwaukee pulled the trigger. And they were they said, hey, we getting close, but no cigar. So I go to Seattle, which actually they thought that it was going to be a rebuilding situation for us there because they had nothing but young players, but they had really good young players that all had chips on their shoulders. They wanted to prove stuff. I mean, even Dale Ellis was on Dallas bench, never played. They traded Al Wood for him, and he ended up. My first year we had 3 scorers that averaged over 20 points a game with Xavier McDaniel, Tom Chambers, and Dale Ellis.
Right.
And it was so ironic that they asked Red Auerbach who he felt was going to be the worst team in the NBA. And so he happened to say the Seattle Supersonics, and which was amazing because you get a lot of guys that have a lot to prove. And even, even with Bernie, he had just got an opportunity to be a head coach, and he was with Washington as assistant coach for like 12 years. So everybody was kind of hungry and motivated to prove a lot of people wrong. So my first year, we ended up going to the Western Conference Finals against the Lakers. We were the 8th seed in the playoffs. Dallas was the number 1 seed. We beat them. Okay. And then who do we play next? I'm trying to think. The second team. You guys got to do some fact checking. Who's that second team?
Yeah. Sid's on it now. Sid's on it.
Who?
Yeah.
Oh,
Sid's checking it. Yeah, Sid's checking it right now.
Sid's our fact checker.
You're talking 86, right?
87? 86, 87?
Yeah.
86, 87 playoffs, right?
My first year. And we were the 8th seed.
87 playoffs.
We played Dallas, which was the number 1 seed. We beat them.
Houston.
And then, yes. Then that's when Houston had the Twin Towers.
Yeah.
With Elijah One and Samson. We ended up beating them again. They said we were going to finish last in the NBA, and we barely made it. We had more losses than we had wins. We just sneaked into the for that 8th seed. So we go and beat the number 1 team, seeded team. We go and beat Houston. I don't remember where they were seeded. And then we ended up playing against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. And that was the year that I had my best year as a pro. And it was phenomenal, to experience that. I just had all success in Milwaukee, go to Seattle with a bunch of guys that really, just not big time names. I think X was a high draft pick. Right. And Tom was a really good player, and Dale, and then we had Maurice Lucas and Clem Johnson. So, but yeah, we made it to the Western Conference Finals, but ran against the team. I'm not sure if the Lakers won it that year.
Yeah, they won it.
The Lakers won it. Yeah,
87.
And again,
first of the back-to-back. Yeah,
exactly. And so that was a whole unique experience for me. And then I ended up signing a big contract because that was the last year of my contract. I signed a big contract with Seattle, and things just started from there. We had a lot of success when I was in Seattle, so it was fun times. I loved it. Now different. Now we go back to the weather again. Now overcast.
It's raining all the time.
It was leading the nation in suicides because of the weather.
Wow, yeah.
Well, you averaged almost a double-double that year, 11.6 points, 9.4 rebounds in your first year with Seattle.
And that was the first time I got hurt because I broke a bone in my foot, and I was out for a while. I think it was we were playing against the Lakers. I think we had 7 more games in that regular season. So I've missed the first round of that Dallas series.
Mhm.
And then they brought me back against Houston. Wasn't 100%, but still was able to be effective. And then by the time we played Lakers, I was pretty much at the point where I could go and play more minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Was it easier to guard Kareem already by this time? I mean, he was 40 something.
Yeah.
Did you have an easier time already against him, or was he still giving you trouble?
At times he wasn't as consistent as he was when he was younger. Because back when he was younger, he give you trouble every night.
Mhm.
Now he give you trouble, and they kind of monitor his minutes. He wasn't playing, but he was still effective. He gets, they were a fast break team, but whenever they needed to go in the half court, they had Worthy or they had Kareem that they were able to go into. So he was still effective, and James had really stepped up his game.
Yeah.
They also had
Magic.
Michael
And
Thompson.
Magic was the MVP that year.
Yeah,
That's right.
first
That's right.
MVP. And he actually said before that that 87 team was the strongest Lakers team of the 80s.
I wouldn't question that, man. Hey, you're talking about how they push the ball and fast break. I mean, they were out there. Their wings were sprinting, and they used to sprint outside the baseline. That's how they ran wide, and then they would V in once they got around the free throw line. But those guys, man, with Magic pushing the ball, I mean, it was incredible. It was incredible. So you when you played the Lakers, you better have on your track shoes, because that was their claim to fame.
I was just saying they had a very young Michael Thompson at the time. Also, was actually playing more minutes than Kareem. So whoever be guarding Kareem, they bring in Michael Thompson, and that probably sap more of the energy out. So by the time they bring in Kareem, whoever's the starting center probably have less energy to guard Kareem. That's why Kareem was so effective at that time.
Yeah, that was a great pickup when they picked up Michael Thompson, because he was perfect for them. He fitted in perfectly for what they wanted to do as a backup. He could score, strong body, really good player, really good player. And you have to add. It's just like a puzzle, man. You have to always try to add the right pieces. And he was a big time piece for him.
Hey, Coach, we're going to show you some photos, and when you see them, you can tell us what you remember. Here's the first one. It says Arizona State, and there you are, wearing your number 53. Is there any significant reason why you chose 53?
Man, I always just felt like a big man needed a big number. I couldn't be wearing number 1, number 0, and all that. And I just, I in high school I wore 33 because of Kareem. He's my idol. And then when I in junior college, I don't remember exactly what number I had then, but when I transferred to Arizona State, I kept that number throughout my entire career, from college to the NBA. But I just thought it was a big man's number, Big man need big numbers.
Right.
Yeah, I thought you wore 53 because at the time, a very popular movie was Herbie. Remember the Love Bug? Volkswagen. That was Herbie's number, 53.
Oh no, that wasn't the reason. I just fell in love with it and kept it, and
there weren't too many guys with 53, so that was your number.
There was one guy by the name of Daryl Dawkins, but
let me tell you a story about Daryl. When I was in the NBA, both of us wore that number, and I was early in my career, and he's like, man, we might need to change this number, because Daryl was getting foul trouble as well. He said, I think the officials are picking on this number, man, because I think this is a bad luck number, because, 1 year I led the league in personal fouls, and Daryl was always getting in foul trouble. And we actually had a running conversation on the court about, man, what you think? We're going to change that number or what? Because these officials not showing us any love.
Yeah, and Daryl's a character. The guy, rest in peace, man. But there you are playing against UC. That's UCLA that you're playing against there. I wonder who that center was guarding you. Can you go back the last picture? Back picture, Banks, please. Back to the first picture. Yeah, that's UCLA. That's the blue and yellow of UCLA right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember who their center was back then?
Wow.
Not one of the more popular guys, I think, right?
No, not one of their high draft picks. I don't know. That's probably why they got another guy trying to double team me on this. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to the next one. The double shot, Milwaukee. There you go.
Yeah.
And there's that semi sky hook there against Robert Parrish.
Hey, and actually going left.
That's right.
And you don't see. Hey, you didn't see that many times, but. One of the things that I wanted to do was be able to shoot that left and right, and that's how I, was able to develop that. But yeah, that's my version of the hook shot, the sky hook, with either hand.
Yeah, but I do remember.
The other photo's nice. The other photo's nice because you have Ballin here. Ballin is the other photo.
And see,
that's Rick Mahorn from the Bullets.
Yeah, and the thing that I was so effective in Milwaukee because I was a shot blocker, so I'm always on the weak side. I'm always around the basket, and that helped playing with another big guy. So I didn't have to guard the main centers. I could be on the weak side, creating havoc, going out the blocks.
Mm-hmm. And someone pointed out another guy who wore 53 was Artis Gilmore.
Yeah, that's right.
A-Train.
It's a big man's number. You're right, Alton. Coach Alton, it's a big man's number.
Yeah. And A-Train, another one of the strongest human beings that I ever played against. Actually, he was considered one of the strongest guy during that era. But he's just a gentle giant. He didn't really play like that. Unless you got him mad.
Yeah.
And that guy hardly missed. He shot like 65% from the field.
Man, he had that left hand hook going to the middle and that up and under step through. I mean, unstoppable.
Not to mention the nice mustache and the sideburns too.
Yeah, the pork chop. The pork chops.
Yep.
Yeah. How true is it? We saw that movie Last Dance. They used to call the Chicago Bulls the traveling cocaine circus. that was going out there. Bob, was Artis Gilmore part of that team? Well, I mean, how true was it that the drug scene in the NBA was kind of rampant when you came in?
Yeah, that was the team when Michael was a rookie. They had a lot of characters on that team, man. I can only imagine what they were doing. And the drug policies wasn't as tight, but they had a bunch of cast of characters on that team. So, what Michael probably said was all true, but he didn't. The thing that you notice, he never named names.
Yeah, but he started calling one of their voices, right?
Huh?
Already.
Exactly. Never name names. We never name names.
Right.
Coach, what about Moses Malone? I think he's one of the more underrated great centers of all time, and he was kind of short for a center, but he won 3 MVPs and he won a title with the Sixers. But what made him unique as a center?
Relentless. He was relentless on the glass. He was the guy that really established how to rebound, especially on the weak side. He was and that's one of the things Don Nelson told me when I first got in the league. He said, look, you watch some of these bigs and some of the things that they do, and you kind of emulate some of the things and learn from them. And he said one of the things that you can do as a rebounder is make a living just rebounding the weak side. And that's kind of like Dennis Rodman, who understand, trajectory, angles, where the ball, based on where you position, where the ball is going to be shot and where it's going to come off, and knowing the guys who shoot the ball, and just being, it's a science to it. But Moses was relentless. He was a handful. He was strong. He just kept coming at you, and his main thing with him, and he was heavy. He was heavy, and you always had to, and whenever we played against Philly, and when he was with Philly, I used to say, and Houston, used to say, look, man, I'm not going to get a lot of rebounds tonight because I'm going to keep my body on him. So you other guys are going to have to rebound.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like kind of a game rebound mentality.
Right. Well, there was another small center that played during your time. He just passed away this year. His name was Wes Unseld. Guy was 6'7", 6'8", but he still got the job done. What was so special about him?
But see, I never played against him.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was gone.
He was
gone by the time Alton came in.
Come on now. You aged me a little bit.
It's Bob Lanier. Bob Lanier played against him.
Bob Lanier was a smaller guy, right?
Yeah. Bob Lanier played against Wes Unseld, but not Coach Alton.
There you go. I never played against Wes, but the thing that I admired about him was the fact that he was an undersized center, but he was so wide, and he had one of the best outlets of the game. I mean, his outlet was incredible. And Kevin Love, I talked to Kevin Love back when I worked with him, and he was saying a lot of things with his outlets were so good. He learned it from Wes Unseld.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now, well, Wes Unseld just got promoted.
Just watching it. Yeah.
Next photo, please, man.
Next photo.
Oh, Coach, by the way, someone else also pointed out James Edwards also wore 53.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Again,
the Buddha man.
Hey, Buddha. Hey, I'm telling you, that's a big man's number.
Yep. Here's a 84-85 Milwaukee Bucks team.
Oh,
Look at this team.
That's a strong team.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a team. I'm trying to remember. I know we won the Central Division, and probably it was again playing either Boston or Philly, and we lost to one of those. We just could not get over the hump with those teams. But again,
championship this year in this season.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. We probably played them in the Eastern Conference Finals and lost.
I love those warm-ups, Coach, though, with the stripes on the legs.
Yeah. And another thing about Milwaukee was the Mecca, that floor. It was a very unique looking floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had Bango the Buck.
Yeah, Bango the Buck. Yeah.
Look at that three-headed center, those 7-footers there, Randy Brewer, Paul Keski, and Alton Lister.
Yeah.
You got to play with Kenny Fields, right, Coach Alton?
Yeah, the UCLA.
Kenny Fields. Yeah, he played here in the PBA as well as an import.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he played as an import. So there's a bunch of guys that you got to play with. Kenny Fields is one, played here in the Philippines for Presto. And then in Seattle, I think you got to play with Michael Phelps.
Yes.
Yeah, he played for San Miguel. San Miguel had a Grand Slam in 1989 under Norman Black. Michael Phelps was one of their imports.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good for him. Good for him.
Then
Great guy.
You got to play also with Vincent Askew and with Ricky Brunson in Portland.
Yes.
And both those guys played here.
Yeah.
Did they have success over here?
I think
they were all right. They didn't come back though. I guess that's your level of success to come back. But
But just to mention,
and Brunson, and then there's one guy. There's one guy you coached, Mario West. You coached him in Atlanta.
Actually,
Mario, he played for Meralco. You know that.
No, I was coaching for Meralco, and I gave them a recommendation to bring him, and he did well over here.
So those are your PBA connections.
Yes,
there's another guy. Just to add to that list, Sidney Moncrief actually came here in 2006, along with the group of Dennis Rodman. Also had Daryl Dawkins in that group. They also had Alex English in that group. So Sidney Moncrief actually played in Araneta, in the Araneta. in 2006. Yeah, part of the Legends tour that came here with Dennis Rodman.
Oh, Sydney?
Yeah, he came here. Yeah, I actually spent some time. Yeah, I actually had them as guests. I used to have a talk show. I had them as guests on my talk show. So we had Daryl Dawkins and who's that guy, small guy from Houston? His name escapes me right now. The guy who twirls the batons.
Calvin Murphy.
Calvin Murphy.
Calvin Murphy. Yeah,
All those guys actually played?
Yeah, they all came here and they
Yeah,
played.
the quality of the game wasn't too high anymore, but
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
It's a
But
pretty
they were-
funny game.
Yeah.
Just to see all those legends and guys that, you heard about, and now you get a chance to see them live. I mean, just that is price of admission.
Yeah, just to let you know, Daryl Dawkins actually came in a white suit. It was like sparkling white. He came into our net in a white suit. That's Daryl Dawkins for you right there.
He's a character, man. Great
He was.
guy.
He was.
But
Yeah.
he never grew up. He never he never grew up. But may he rest in peace. Great guy.
Yeah.
But he loved to have fun. They're always doing funny
Yeah.
things.
And the guy, the guy who
Came from the
talked.
Planet Love song, right?
Yeah, the guy who talked a lot in that group was actually Calvin Murphy. He's the topper of all of
Oh,
them.
yeah.
The guy Calvin Murphy doesn't stop talking.
Yeah.
When you're that small, right? You got to have that energy. He was tough too, and I mean, was he still physically? Because he had a body on him, man. He was.
Oh yeah. He was still pretty.
And he could fight. He could fight. He'd fight against the big guys, like Danny Ainge. He'd fight against the bigger guys.
Yeah,
I remember Calvin Murphy.
Yeah, Calvin Murphy. I mean, I love watching them play. I love small guards that it's a challenge for him, but he was so athletic, quick, could shoot. And then he did the baton thing. I mean,
He'd do it at halftime.
Oh, he did it. He did that.
Yeah. He'd do it. He would do it at halftime of the Houston games. Back
That's actually something that he did pretty well. He was on a national level with that baton twirling.
That's right.
he was a champion. He was a national champion, right?
Yeah, he was a national champion.
Did he have the whistle in his mouth while he was doing it?
I didn't ask him that.
No, you could have just seen him blowing the whistle.
Yeah. No video back then when he was national champion. So we got to look for that. Maybe it's on YouTube. Next photo. Here
another guy who wore number 53. A fan just pointed out. Mark Eaton also wore.
Another 7-footer.
That's a giant.
Wait a minute. I think all the guys that we have mentioned all were either 7 foot or close to 7 foot.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's something about that.
It's the only one who's not 7 foot from the guys we mentioned.
Yeah. But he could jump out of the gym for his size and his weight.
Right.
And he's the one that used to break the backboards.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The
couple of times. All those dunks. All those dunks he would name.
Exactly.
Coach, you're taking a jump shot here against Charles Jones, the brother of Caldwell.
Right.
76ers.
That was one of my that was one of my shots that when I was on the right side of the basket going to the middle, either shot my left-handed hook or my turnaround jumper.
Mm-hmm. I like the shoot. I like the shooting guard matchup, Dale Ellis versus Jeff Malone. That's pretty good.
Yeah. So I actually want to go back in time a bit to the 83 playoffs when you were going up against the team by the Philadelphia 76ers. You said they just acquired Moses Malone. Then they had guys like Andrew Toney, Maurice Cheeks, as you said. Bobby Jones was also on that team. Of course, Charles Jones also. But how about Dr. J?
Caldwell.
Caldwell Jones. Yeah, and then Dr. J also on that team. So
man.
What was the enigma of Dr. J?
Dr. J, first of all, as a person, one of the most classiest guys you will ever meet. Okay. Mm-hmm. Number two, he had so much success in the ABA. And then by the time he got drafted or they obtained him to the NBA, he was still a good player. I mean, he still had those big hands, could still fly around to the basket and dunk on people. And he's another guy got me a couple of times. But yeah, Dr. J was he was still, one of their main weapons defensively and offensively. Just didn't have the shot, so you would rather give him that mid-range shot. But if in transition in the open court, it was unbelievable, man. The things he used to do, and he's the guy that actually, taking off flying, and he used to do that in games. So he was still really effective during that time.
Right.
So we had to prepare for him.
Yeah.
That was the year that he had that, he cradled the ball and dunked over Michael Cooper. That was, that was 83,
that's the
right?
one. Rock the baby.
Well, he hand slick too, right? He also has hand slick.
Yeah. And again, man, huge hands, man. Unbelievable size hands. His hands were so big. But yeah, he was a good player, and he was very effective in the series when we played them. And they had a really good team. That's why they won the championship.
You're talking about the hands of Dr. J in the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. They actually have those imprints of his hands that you can put your hand in and just to compare. Because those were really, really huge hands.
Yeah, he's probably one of the guys that's probably. And now Michael had really big hands too. But yeah, he's up there and probably top 3, 4 guys with those hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What's our next photo, Bianca?
What's next? There you go.
Big
That's the
Smooth.
Lakers. That's Sam Perkins.
Big Smooth.
Yeah, this is a problem, man. When I got to Golden State, that's when I started getting injured. And that's when my first year, and I got traded from Seattle to Golden State for a first-round pick. The pick ended up being Gary Payton. I think it was like I forget, didn't Gary go like 17th or something like that?
Yeah.
So number 2. He went number 2.
Was he two?
Did he go that high?
Yeah. He was number 2 after Derek Coleman.
Okay. Well, that pick was the first round pick that they gave up for me to go to Golden State. And here playing in the playoffs against Sam. But the thing that happened to me when I got to Golden State, that's when I turned 30, and my first major injury when I first got there was the 3rd game of the season. I tore my Achilles.
Wow.
And I was never the same after that, because then I started having back injuries and compensating for my Achilles, but I still played there 4 years. I was hurt a lot. We made the playoffs. I had so much fun playing with Ron TMC.
Yes, sir.
That's right.
Oh my God, I couldn't. When they traded him, Mitch Richmond for Billy Owens. I was Nelly liked point forward. He liked that position, and he felt like Billy could add that to our team. But Mitch was a Hall of Famer, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
But playing with those 3 guys, and again, that's another group of guys that average over 20 points a game. I played with that in Seattle with X, Tom, and Dale, and the same thing with Mitch, Rich, and Chris Mullins.
And you had Sharunas Martalonis with like 17 a game. So that was a scoring team.
So only thing I had to do was rebound, throw the outlet, and by the time I got to half court, the shot was already up, and I just was the first one back on defense.
That's right.
Yeah, but when you were with Golden State, there's something that's still on YouTube now that people are still pointing out, the Sean Kemp incident. So take us back. Tell us about that. I mean, that was Sean Kemp being Sean Kemp, right?
Yeah. Well, Sean Kemp was one of the best, and I think when I did the article, said he's one of the best in-game dunkers in the game.
Right.
And it's a story behind this whole thing, because we had just had a fight the game before, and it kind of got personal, and I got fined $10,000 for punching him, and that game before, and I did a pretty good job on him defensively because he was still young, and we ended up winning the game. So and he caught a lot of flack for not playing up to his potential. So then the series moves to Seattle. In the first game, it didn't happen, but the second game, I think he was saying, it's going to happen, and I'm going to get him in a situation where I can pay back for him punching me in my face. But I fouled him really hard in the game, and then that's kind of how it started. But anyways, he saw his opportunity, and I'm still, when I look at the video, I'm looking at Billy Owens, I'm looking at Chris Mullins. I'm like, man, y'all out front, y'all just open the floodgates, and they just gave him a straight line drive, and the ball was on the weak side, and I was fronting Bernard Benjamin. So they threw it out of the double team. Now from the weak side, now it was on the strong side. I'm sorry. They threw it to the weak side. So I had to fight my way over Bernard Benjamin to get back on the inside of him. Okay, while I'm doing that, Sean Kemp, they skipped it to him up at the top. Mully and Billy was there. And by the time I looked around, he was already had extended, and he had taken off, and it was over after that. Right? I didn't know.
He didn't get fined for pointing at you after that?
Yeah, that was for the fight. That's why it got personal. And then
there was no taunting rule yet, I think, at the time.
He would have been same with Chris Gatling too, right?
Yeah, and I couldn't believe Chris Gatling. After he dunked on Chris Gatling, he go shake his hand.
Yeah. Chris Gatling shook his hand. That's right.
Man, I'm like, man, are you serious? So, I mean, give me a break. But anyways, that was that was an incredible dunk because, he had elevated, and he was and he took it all the way back. I'll say he took it back from Louisiana somewhere. He
really wanted to get you. He wanted you on that play, coach.
He cocked that thing back and he elevated. And only thing I saw was his body in front of me, and I couldn't react quick enough to either get out the way or take a charge. And I just I was kind of, you never want to be in between in basketball. We call that no man's land. I was in no man's land.
Yeah, but coach, that wasn't the first time someone dunked on you. You said Kareem dunked on you. Dunked on you. So it's happened so many times, except that this was different because this is the 1992 playoffs. The videos all over the place. The NBA is worldwide now, so people see it, and then it's still on YouTube until now. So that's why people see it.
This is what, and I talked to my friends about it. Every time he has a birthday, they show it. It went from being at the time probably the top 10. Now over the history, it has gained more momentum. Now I think it's like the best dunk ever in the history of the game. I'm like, it's the same dunk. How as time passed, it continues to get popular.
Yeah.
And now that's the only thing people remember me about. So it's funny.
No, that's not the only thing they remember you about.
Well,
Coach,
I mean, when they want to give me jokes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
It's
this is,
all
I
good.
think, I guess you're a coach already by this time?
No, you won't believe this. No,
What was this?
This is a tournament in Florida. This is where they had the bubble, and I'm playing in a senior league.
Okay.
And a pastor friend of mine that was a chaplain for the Celtics, and he has this organization called Sports Power, and he kept talking to me, and I don't know, I was in my 50s, I think early 50s, and I'd been out of basketball for a while, and I said, look, man, that's why they call it retired. You don't play anymore. He just said, it won't be that bad. We'll pay you this certain amount of money if you come and play, and it's for a week. And the only thing about this, after the first day, I was ready to go home because my body felt so messed up. And, I hadn't played, and it was just, I said, man, this is the worst mistake. I told him after the first game, man, I said, look, I might want to rethink this thing. I might want to leave after the first game. That's how I felt physically. And I ended up staying there and honoring my commitment. But I never should have did that. That was the worst thing That was the worst thing I could have ever done was go back. And then the guys that I was playing against, since I'm a former NBA player, they were going at me. They're acting like it's a 7th game of the finals. So they
they're daring you to block their shots, huh?
No, they were playing physical. I'm saying, man, what y'all trying to build a reputation, man? My career is over, man. I'm gonna let you have the shot. I'm not playing over the rim, blocking shots and all that. Go ahead, man. You ain't gotta do all that. So right. I gotta laugh about that, but it was a good experience.
But after that stint with Golden State, you went back to the Bucks. Then you had a couple of years in Boston. Then your last year with Portland, you played just 7 games. That's because you did say you started getting injured already after that, and then so a lot of times you were on the bench.
Yeah.
So when did you feel it was time to hang it up?
Well, when I was in Golden State, it was just a nightmare. I was hurt all the time, and you forgot one thing. I went and played over in Italy after I left Golden State. And Mike D'Antoni was my coach over there.
Oh, okay.
And I wanted to see, and I had trained, and I wanted to see if I could still play. I made it through a year. I came back. I signed as a free agent with Milwaukee. Played there 2 years. Played there 2 years in Boston, and then my last year with Golden State.
Yeah. What kind of a coach was? Because I know you when you came back from Italy, you played under Mike Dunleavy, and then you went the dark days of Boston because ML Carr was the coach, and really
very dark.
Very dark days. How was it being under ML Carr, who I thought all he could do was wave a towel? I mean, but how was he as a coach?
Nice one, Laker boy.
Well, let me just answer about Milwaukee. Playing for Mike Dunleavy, I know it was getting time for me to retire because I started being coached by guys that I played with. And
that's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
So we played together in Milwaukee early in my career, and then I'm thinking like this is my 13th year, and I'm still getting traded. So Todd Day and I got traded to Boston for Sherman Douglas, and then I go there, another rebuilding situation. It wasn't glory days back when they were winning. And that's when they just moved into the Fleet Center. I think it's called something else now. But
TD Garden.
Yeah, they moved to the Fleet Center, so I got a chance to play there. But I actually played good. I only signed. I had 1 more year left on my contract. I played well enough to earn another year, so I at least made some money out of the situation. We wasn't winning, but I got another year.
Yeah, those were bad years for the
Yeah,
Celtics.
Those
the top scorer was Dino. Dino Raja was the top scorer.
Dino Raja.
Yeah, playing with Dino and
Yeah, no,
then
and never nervous Ellison, and then you had Eric Montrose,
yes,
Dana Barros. Those were the guys. That was the team.
Rick Fox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah, Rick Fox was there. Rick
Yeah.
Fox was
Yeah,
there before
Antoine
he went to
Walker
the
was a
Lakers.
rookie, I think.
Yeah, Antoine Walker, exactly. He was a rookie.
Yeah, you got to play with some young talent. You got to play with Glenn Robinson in the Bucks. You got to play with Antoine Walker with the Celtics. You
Vin
played with
Baker.
Jermaine O'Neal in Portland.
Yeah, Vin
Yeah,
Baker.
Vin
There you
Baker.
go. Were you
Who
his
was youngest?
mentor already at the time with Vin Baker?
Say it again.
Were you already mentoring Vin Baker when he came into the league?
Oh, absolutely. And that once I started getting older, that's kind of what my role was. The locker room guy, kind of mentoring these young guys and just have a positive influence on them. Try to teach them how to be a professional, how to go about their business, how to go about their job, how let them understand what it takes to have some longevity in the years in the NBA. And that was one of the things. How you play so many years? What did you do? So that was the biggest question, And so I just fell right into that role. And I think that helped me as I continue at the end of my career to go right into coaching.
Mm-hmm. Coach, you in your last year in Portland, although it was a short stay there, 7 games, you got to play with Arvydas Sabonis.
Yes.
That's right. Can you tell us the experience of finally, being a teammate of this guy, seeing him play in practice and during the games? Because he was really, he's an international superstar, one of the best, they say. Probably came to the NBA too late. But what were your impressions about him?
You could see he at one time was a really good player, and that he had sustained some injuries, but his instincts and his basketball IQ, he knew how to play. Mm-hmm. And I knew his reputation from when he played in Europe, that he was a really, really good player. And then I saw him play against David Robinson in the Olympics. Uh-huh. So I knew his reputation, and he still had the instincts. I mean, he's the only guy that I ever seen throw an outlet pass like he's bowling a bowling ball. I mean, I've never seen that before. And
big hands too.
Big hands. He's these behind the back passes. A really good passer. Just had
that set shot, 3-point shot from top of the key, right?
Yeah, that set shot. So he could still take bigs out and shoot the ball. And so he still knew how to play, but just physically he couldn't, do the things probably he wanted to do. I just felt bad against him when he played against Shaq, because Shaq was in his prime, and Shaq was a handful back then.
Right.
But Arvydas was a very quiet person. He's the only guy. We were teammates, right? We get on the elevator. He did not say a word. Not a word.
But he spoke English really well, right?
Yeah, but I think he was just shy or whatever. But he did speak English. But I talked to Mike Dunleavy. I said, man, he could give so much input to these younger guys if he was, just would open up to them. Yeah. Uh-huh. And it just, he just. But his son is a really good player. His son was born back when we were in Portland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, he was one of their American citizen.
Yeah.
All right. See, Domantas, he's playing well. Yes. We'll see how he does this year. Coach, this picture, I think this is a special day for you at AES at Arizona State.
Yes. And this is the coach, may he rest in peace, that recruited all the talent to ASU. His name is Jim Newman.
Okay, that's the fellow. Right.
Yeah, that's him. And this is where, I got my jersey lifted to the rafters. Special day for me. I'm very proud. And, and then I had a lot of my former teammates that were there supporting me. It was a great day. for your alma mater to recognize you for the things you've done on the court. And yeah, very proud day.
How many, would you know, Coach, how many numbers are retired up there in the rafters of Arizona State?
They just started doing it maybe about 5 years ago. I know Fat Lever, Byron Scott, James Harding, Eddie House, maybe Ike Diago, Jumping Joe Caldwell from the ABA days. I think that's about it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's
Do you,
that's an
yeah,
honor to be there. I mean, there's not too many guys up there.
Yeah.
do you still
Yeah.
follow the ASU team these days, Coach?
Oh, absolutely. That's my alma mater, and
Remy.
we always say, we bleed maroon and gold. And I'm always looking.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
What do you think about Remy Martin, their star player now? He's half Filipino, by the way.
Yeah, I know, and I'm hoping that he can be part of the national team. He's a really, really good player. I mean, he is, he's something special, man. I'm really hoping he can, I don't know about his status in terms of paperwork and all that stuff, but it'd be really, I mean, he can go. He can go.
Well, that's something Coach Alton is very interested in, because he actually was one of the assistant coaches for the Gilas, a team that went to Bahrain, although you weren't able to go to Bahrain, Coach. But I think what a lot of the viewers or our followers are really wondering now, they want to hear, is how you ended up coming to Manila in the first place as a coach.
Well, Paul Howard, who was really good friends with Ron Jacobs. And Ron Jacobs, when Paul Howard was at Arizona State, he's an assistant coach of mine, and he came over. Ron Jacob wanted him to come over and help, develop and implement certain things to the basketball community over here. And he came over and I think he was one of the assistant coaches on when Ron Jacob was the national team coach. So he has ties over here. And when I was with Atlanta, and then I got released from Atlanta, he made a recommendation to San Miguel to bring me over and to be a skill coach. And that's how I started. This was 2009.
2008.
2008.
Yeah,
2009, I think. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Okay. And after my stint with Atlanta, I came over here, and rest is history. And I've been over here a long time. And
you got to handle Danny Ildefonso at the time. And what was your impression of Philippine basketball when you came here yourself for the first time?
Well, I'd heard that, and I was talking to Coach Paul, because he kind of gave me the ins and outs of what the expectations were, and he said San Miguel's were San Miguel Beerman was the Lakers of the Philippines, because they won a lot of championships, and that I was really going into a good situation with a lot of good players, and the whole PBA was a good conference, competitive, and that I would really enjoy my time being over here. I knew nothing about Philippine basketball. I knew nothing about any of that. And I was pleasantly surprised when I came over here and started, getting into the culture, coaching the players, understanding, how they play over here. And just it was just a great experience for me. And that's why I've been over here so long, because I love it. I love the Philippines. I love the people, the food, and I love the basketball. And, the weather's great. They speak English. And I have basketball in my DNA, and anything that has to do with basketball, I'm all about that. So
Uh,
I
you
really
even got your
enjoy.
you even got your good friend here. You even got your good friend from the Milwaukee Bucks to come over and join you.
Oh yeah, and also an NBA coach um, came over, and Cheney. I'm trying to think of. I'm trying to think of the coach's name. I'm getting a blank right now, but I'll think about it in a second. I'll let you know.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Casey, Don Casey, he
Okay,
coached.
gotcha.
Okay.
He coached the Clippers. He coached me in Boston. He
Mm-hmm.
is the father, the dean of the matchup zone, and he came in and worked with Talking Tex and taught the matchup zone to our team and worked with us. Uh, but yeah, and then I brought Craig Hodges over here as a shooting coach. He was a shooting coach for the Lakers for about
Mm-hmm. Phil.
let me see how many. Yeah, with Phil uh, for about he worked with them for about 10 years,
Mm-hmm.
and and I played with him. And so I try to get anybody that can help continue to uh, help the players over here and teach them more techniques and different things about the game. I'm really big on that. So anything I can help to continue to improve the game of basketball over here, I'm all for that.
Mm-hmm.
Coach, when you first came over in 2009, which players immediately stood out for you in the PBA?
I like the guys the teams that were winning. I like the Talking Tex team and how they played. Uh, I liked the San Miguel had a lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a number of guys that you know, um, like that I felt that really had a chance to be good. Um, I can't just name them individually, but I just thought there was a lot of good players over here, and I see why this league was so competitive and highly regarded because there were some good players that knew how to play the game, and it was some talent over here.
Right. Coach, I'm just gonna bring us back a little bit in time. You said you didn't really know much about Philippine basketball, but actually your older brother, James Lister, got to play here in the PBA in I believe the early '80s, if I'm not mistaken, 1981, at about the time that you also started your NBA career. Did he mention anything about
No,
Philippine basketball to you?
never, because I don't know how long he was over here. Was he a replacement import or I don't know the stint that he had over here,
I think he
but
played one conference with
okay.
CDCP, yeah, at the time.
Yeah, so we never got a chance to really talk about the PBA and his experiences over here or anything like that. But um, I started learning more about it when Paul Howard started talking to me about it. But then I started doing my research before I came over here, and I'd seen a lot of former NBA players, the imports. I mean, it was just it was actually the best kept secret, you know, for me, because when I got over here, like I said, I was pleasantly surprised of the caliber of basketball and the talent over here. It was good.
Right. Well, I just brought up James because there's still a lot of questions about James after the PBA and the mystery surrounding him after that. Could you shed some light into what we don't know probably about what happened to James?
Yeah, well, I know he went uh, he ended up going to Belgium. That's where he played in Europe the majority of his career. And then something happened to him over there in Europe, in Belgium, kind of at the end of his career. I don't know what happened, but uh, it was actually he was diagnosed. He had a nervous breakdown, and we had to send someone to get him and bring him back to the United States. And so once we finally figured out how we could support him and help him, he had to be on medication, and he just needed support and everything. But he never was the same anymore. And then actually things started going downhill from him. He got off his medication. He started living in group homes, and actually he had a stint where he was living on the streets. And we were trying to find him, and I was over here actually. My family, we finally, were able to find him and try to, support him. And just when that happened, it was too late, and he ended up passing away. But it was just a big mystery, everything that surrounded his whole situation and his death. And I was totally just heartbroken about my brother, because we were really close, and I grew up really admiring him, and he was my idol. And I just hated that he had misfortunes, and I don't know what happened to him over in Belgium, but it changed his whole life, and he was never the same after that.
Well, rest in peace to James Lister. Yeah, but thank you for sharing that bit of information with us. Of course, part of your family as well. So, and now that you're here in the Philippines, and then you're now coaching some of these younger kids right now, trying to teach them the skyhook or something like that. What's it like now being surrounded by these kids who could be the future of Philippine basketball?
Man, I love it. I love it, man. I love it. Hey, I love being in the gym. That's all I have to say. I love basketball. I have a passion for it. I mean, if I had to pick, going to a corporate job or going to a gym and working with players every day, that's what I choose. I've been around it all my life, and I don't see myself doing anything other than that. And I actually, it's fun for me, and the teaching aspect of it, I get the most pleasure out of it. And, they're willing learners. They want to know, and they respect me because of all the experience that I've, had playing at the highest level. So I try to do everything within my power, to help these guys to just learn the game the right way. And, being part of the MVP group with Coach Tab, Coach Mark, and all the coaches that I'm affiliated with, we kind of have the same agenda of what we're trying to do with these players, and it's all working, but it's a work in progress, and we're just gonna keep, pushing at it, and keep developing and teaching and giving them knowledge and helping them develop.
Mm-hmm. That's great. And are you still? Is it something that you have to be assigned for again, or are you still part of this Gilas program moving forward till February?
I'm still part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
We just had a meeting. A couple of days ago. Yeah, so I'm still part of it.
And it's going to be here in the bubble in Clark.
Yes.
Yep.
Maybe you'll be in the bubble with Noel, because Noel's going to be.
See you in 2 months, Coach.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
So I got to get ready for that.
I'll get to experience the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
You love it, actually. We've only been there for 6 days, so it's not a problem. Instead of 2 months.
Not too long. Not too long.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been great, all these stories you've been sharing with us. I have this thing that I do with all our guests. I'm just going to ask you to choose. I'm going to give you a bunch of choices. You just tell me your choice without having to explain why you chose that particular thing. So I'll just give you A or B, and then you just tell me which your choice is. Okay, Coach, let's start. Don Nelson or Ned Wolk?
Don Nelson.
All right. Byron Scott or Pat Lever?
Fat Lever.
Sidney Moncrief or Marcus Johnson?
That's That's getting harder, isn't it?
All right.
What? I hope they don't get a video of this. I would say Sydney.
Okay. Paul McKeskey or Randy Brewer?
That's nice.
I would say Big Mo. We call him Big Mo.
All right.
Okay.
Big Mo. All right. He's a coach too now, right?
Yeah,
Kareem
exactly.
Abdul-Jabbar or Robert Parrish?
I like Kareem.
Okay. Sixers or Celtics?
Celtics.
Celtics. Okay. Lakers or Blazers?
Oh, Lakers. Come on.
All right. All right.
What kind of question
All right,
is
all right.
that?
All right. All right. Dale Ellis or Chris Mullin?
Oh, nice.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's a
I
good
like
one.
Mully. I like Mully.
You like Mullin? Okay.
Yeah.
Lambeer or Mahorn?
You mean when you say like, explain what you mean by like.
I don't know.
Like to hit or like to take
Okay,
to
you
dinner?
just said okay.
Like
Okay.
the punch? Who's more handsome? I don't know.
Both of them were dirty. Both of them were,
So you don't like both of them?
yeah, equally.
Okay. I think I know the answer to the next one. Mitch Richmond or Billy Owens?
Oh, Mitch.
All right.
The
Oh, Mitch.
Rock. The
The
Rock.
Rock. That's right. Paul Pressey or Nate McMillan?
Ooh.
Paul Presley's one of my best friends.
All right.
Okay.
Go with Paul. Danny Ildefonso or Rani Del De Ocampo?
RDO.
RDO. Okay. Ivan Johnson or Terrence Jones?
That's a whole nother day for a whole nother story. I'm gonna keep it real simple. I'm just gonna go with Ivan Johnson.
Okay.
Okay.
Ivan Johnson. Okay. Coach, how about this one? Craig Hodges or Jimmy Alapag?
See, I never played with Jimmy,
Okay.
but
Okay.
I'll say Craig Hodges.
Okay. Craig Hodges. All right. All right. Do you like the Meralco orange or the TNT yellow?
TNT.
TNT. Tab or Dickel?
Ooh.
Come
Oh,
on,
man.
Carly.
Come
That's
on
a tough
now.
one.
You're
Okay,
killing
okay,
me
okay.
over. You're
That's
killing me.
fine. That's enough. Then I have one more because normally we ask our Filipino guests this last question. I have a different question for you because normally I ask about some showbiz people here in the Philippines. My last question for you is Pacino or De
Charlie
Niro?
Rose. Oh, Pacino or De Niro?
Who?
Pacino or De Niro?
Al-
Pacino or Robert De Niro?
Oh, I like De Niro.
Okay.
De Niro. Okay. That's my Vilma Nora for today. Al Pacino or De Niro. Just because Coach doesn't know the Nora or Vilma. Okay, thanks so much for that, Coach. How about you guys? Noel, you have your question.
Yeah, my question is right now, Coach. You've had a 17-year NBA career. Before that, in ASU as well, and then you've spent about 12 years here in the Philippines already. How do you want Alton Lister to be remembered in the sport of basketball? What legacy do you want to leave behind?
Over here or in general?
In general, when they're talking about you, when your days are done, and then how do you want to be remembered?
Okay, one other question. As a player, as a coach.
Okay, as a player first, and as a coach.
Okay, as a player, just a guy who played extremely hard, competed, was a team guy, just loved the game, always tried to give to others, even as a player. I always wanted to serve my teammates in order for us to continue to be successful. So just, and a good guy, I think that's more important than all the other stuff. People say, hey, at least he's a good guy, decent person, and people liked him.
All right. And as a coach?
Oh, as a coach that loves to be in the gym, always trying to evolve, even at the stage of my career right now. Will come to the gym early, stay late, work with the guys whenever they need me. You know, continue to support whoever the head coach is 100%, whatever they're trying to get done. It's not about me, you know, it's about helping be part of a staff and us do stuff together. And we have one united front, and just continue to know the players, know that I'm real. I have no ego when it comes to what I've done in the past, and that I'm available for them at any time.
All right. I just want to add two more questions from Charlie's X's and O's, if I may. Troy Rosario or Poy Eram?
I'm privy to Biggs. Poy.
All right. And my last one would be Tom Landry or Jimmy Johnson.
I'm gonna go old school on you.
I do it. The guy with the hat. The guy with the hat.
Hey, I grew up watching Tom Landry.
Right.
Okay.
Nice one, Noel. Nice one.
Love
And
it.
Sid,
All right.
how about you, Sid? Close it.
Yeah.
What's
Okay.
your
My
question?
question for you, Coach Alton, is who are your 5 favorite teammates of all time?
Oh my God, 5 favorites. Okay.
It can be from anywhere, from Arizona to the NBA.
Okay, Fat Lever. Craig Hodges, Terry Cummins, Rasheed Wallace,
Ooh.
and I really got close with Avitas Sabonis.
Oh,
I really
okay.
did.
Great.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
All right. Wow, that's a pretty good 5 right there.
And they all
I didn't
big
see
guys.
I didn't see Rasheed coming in that list, though.
Yeah.
Why
No,
was he
hey,
wrong?
you won't believe this. Rasheed is one of the nicest guys off the court you will ever meet. But something happens to him when he walks across that line and those officials start getting in his face.
Right.
He just changes.
Yeah.
He's just changing, but he is one of the nicest guys you will ever meet.
He's a technical foul waiting to happen when he gets into the court.
Oh my God! I was like, man, what is the deal when you get on the court? You're a totally different person. And then we call them zebras. We say then those zebras got getting in your face, and you know the officials, as we call them, and then you just transform into something else.
That's
I did not
crazy.
see that coming. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But that's a great 5 that Coach Alton named.
Yeah.
Coach, thanks for all the stories you've shared with us. What a privilege for us and for our followers to be able to get all this input from a 17-year NBA veteran, from especially that era that we all love, especially our followers
We
here on
grew
the
up
show.
there.
We like the
Yeah.
70s and the 80s, and that's exactly what we got a lot of today. We were very honored that you shared all those stories with us, Coach, and privileged that you're here. And we thank you once again. If there's anything left anyone you'd like to greet or to thank, you can do it now, Coach. But now's your opportunity to send your message to all the fans.
Now, just keep supporting basketball over here. I think PBA, UAAP, any of the levels of basketball, because it's a great game. You got great fans over here that has passion for the game of basketball, and I'm just a privilege for me to be over here so long and try to give input and knowledge about the game of basketball. So I just thank all the fans that have the same type of passion that I have for the game.
That's great. And that's the same kind of passion we have too for this game. Noel Zarate is there outside the bubble now, but he'll be there again in February. Sid
See you in
Ventura,
Feb, Coach.
another isa pang kasama natin dito. Ako naman po si Charlie Cuna. Once again, we'd like to say thank you to all the fans and followers here on Eternity of Basketball. I hope you appreciated this show, NBA side what we talked about today. We'll be going back to the PBA side next week. We'll announce on our page who our next guest is going to be for next Saturday before we take our holiday break and return in the new year. But once again, thanks, Coach Alton. Thank you so much for coming on. And now,
Charlie,
we
wait.
appreciate the fact you're actually coaching our national team now, so you're so Pinoy already.
There you go.
You're as Pinoy as you can be.
Yeah.
Diba?
Hey.
Sid, you have something to add, Sid?
Oh, Charlie, wait. This guy above me. Happy golden birthday,
Happy
Noel.
golden
Oh my
birthday
gosh.
tomorrow, Noel Zarate.
Why do you
Yeah.
call it
Birthday
golden?
tomorrow.
Why do you call it golden?
That's why. That's why.
It's 50th.
Okay.
Big 5-0 tomorrow.
Big 5-0 tomorrow, Noel Zarate.
Big 5-0.
Hey,
Thank you,
happy
guys.
birthday to you.
Yeah,
Happy
we
birthday
know
to
he
you.
looks 70, but he's only turning 50 tomorrow. Okay, but
That's
we have
it,
him.
boy.
And that's Noel Zarate. So, Coach, thanks so much. Once
All
again,
My
episode
pleasure.
62. Episode 62 is now in the books. Episode 63, you will know who will be our guest. As soon as we can, we're going to post it on our FB page. Thank you so much, everybody. This is us signing off right now.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Take care, Coach.
Thank
All
you,
right.
everyone.
Thank you.
All right.